Good morning, garden lovers. Well, it's late morning on the 1st of April. April Fools. But there's no April Fools here. Um, I'm actually cleaning. As you can tell, I haven't gone up here yet. I have wheelbarrow, rake, another wheelbarrow over there full of leaves that I literally just took out from here. And the light was so nice, and I think I'm already too late. So I thought I'm gonna do a short video just to show where the garden is at, what's coming up, and why I'm so happy because everybody came back. I didn't lose any plant at all, so I am a happy gal. So I'm gonna start here before. Oh, here comes the sun. So the first iris to bloom is the white iris in the middle of this sunny bed. um I don't know if you can tell, but man, 2 minutes ago they were glowing because the sun it hadn't reached them yet. So they're the first one to kind of pretty up this bed, and I'm so happy that they are. It's so gorgeous. Like I said, in the shadow or the low light, they just glow because they're white. And of course, everything down here, the stochasters, the pincushion flower, these three right here, and don't mind my manicure. I was just raking leaves, picking up leaves. There's a stochaster, and look at this golden thyme. Oh, it's too sunny now. And so this thyme actually is a ground cover for my Moonlight in Paris rose, which is right there. It's on its second year, so it's still not big, but bigger from last year. And you see this oh my god, I just went on a blank. Peony right here. It's about to bloom, bunch of buds. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4, about a dozen buds. So that's gonna be gorgeous. And there's another aster on the other side as well, or at the other end. My one right there is the Verbena bonariensis. It was one stalk last year. See if I haven't really finished picking up all these leaves from here. Good. But I just want to show you how big it's gotten. So there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6 stems from last year. And another time on the other side of the rose right there. And then that one right there is a foxglove that self-sown itself. Let's see. So I finally, you probably can't tell either because of the light, my candelier, and then underneath the arbor to the left, the verbena, homestead verbena, is blooming. It's gonna thicken once it gets warmer, but right now, even though it's kind of leggy because I just took out the leaves on top of them, but there's plenty of blooms. So there's that. And I wish, well, you can actually see the contrast between the purple and the orange from the flowering quince over there. So the green Japanese maple is leafed out. It's so pretty with the sort of maroon tips. They'll eventually turn completely green, but they're so pretty when they first unfurl in like a couple of days ago, and they're fast to leaf out as well. Like in one day they show sign, and then the next day they're fully leafed out. They're like very confident about themselves, like, you know, I don't have to take my time because I'm beautiful kind of, you know, mentality. If it was if it had a brain, I'm pretty sure it's probably smarter than I am. But yeah, she's gonna be beautiful. It's 2 years old, and it's probably about 6 feet tall. So I can't wait for that to get a little bushier, to sort of, you know, somewhat shade this area right here. It's just, I'm in the southeast, so our summers are scorching, and you know, the plants can use an afternoon shade. And I don't know if you can see, I have leaves in my other hand, sorry, so I can't let me just get closer. I can't zoom in, but the rosemary is blooming a beautiful pale blue. And then so this container right here, the soapwort is thickening up. I just stuck in some sticks, like a couple of sticks in there, and as you can tell, it's gonna get thicker as well as the weather progresses and spill over and hide the ugly plastic tub that I reused. And then also, I should get rid of these leaves first, but so I can zoom in. But that's the butterfly weed. It was early to come out this year. And then those are the wild, well, not all of them, monarda. So so there's 3 of them, monarda, and that concrete statue that used to be a fountain in the middle. So hopefully it's gonna conceal the statue a little bit, because monarda is very prolific and vigorous grower. So, you know, so all, I can actually move it somewhere in the middle, but like I said, I have leaves in my other hand. And this Boscobel David Austin Rose, I still have to clean it up, but there's no black spot or anything. It looks really nice. I don't see any buds yet, but lots of new growth, as you can see. And so let me hold on. I'm just gonna drop my leaves right there, because that it's gonna be my new bed anyway. I'm gonna leave those leaves under there. There's probably a good 6, maybe more in some areas, inches deep. So I'm just gonna add some soil in there, and I'll grow some grasses. I'm actually gonna move, see how it's just a little semicircle there. I think I'm gonna move these rocks more outwards. As you can see, I have plenty of room from the edge of the path going all the way up there. So that's plenty of room that I can plant grasses in. Not the big grasses, maybe small and medium sized. And then so in this pot, I'm gonna move it to a sunny location, even though it's a twin of that other pot right there. So I might move them together. So rearranging, but right now my focus is to really get rid of all these leaves so the plants can grow the right way and not be too leggy or, you know. So, but anyways, in this pot there's a elephant ear, the fancy kind. It was a very fancy leaf, elephant ears. And then the ajuga is like the ground cover that I put in here. And then these pansies and jump ups, they're going strong. They're just on one side, that's why it's not so thick, because there's a grass in there. I think it's called the red rooster. And then I think this must, so I lied. I lost this anemone, and I think it was something Julia anemone. I think maybe it was too hot in there. And then of course in this pot I have some weeds that I'm gonna let grow because it's a nitrogen fixing kind of weed. It's like in the pea family, so I'm gonna leave them there for a minute until I figure out what to do with that. And then of course the abelia behind the limelight. The limelight is putting out some new growth. And then the kaleidoscope abelia is gorgeous. It was semi-evergreen. And then there's another peony from my mother-in-law's house. Before she sold the house, I dug up some to remember her by, and my father-in-law. And then in front of the white irises are the salvias. This is the I always call it palace purple. It's something candles. Oh, but I don't know why my brain always call it palace purple, because it's purple, it's gonna be tall, and look how big a big clump it is now. And then these two in the front, this one and the other one over there, are white ones, so they're shorter. That's why I put them in the front. And then that one over there is blue-eyed grass. So it's just a really short grass. And there's another white one over there, still under the leaves, right in front of the white iris. And then behind the iris as well, there's another David Austin rose. And but you know, for now the irises are really putting on the show. But what I'm also excited about are these they call it Fema, F-A-M-A, scabiosa, or not bachelor's button. My God, scabiosa. So this is Fema white, and I have a Fema blue. But last year I got it really tiny from burpee seeds. They actually sell plants, and it didn't grow all year, but they made it to the winter. They actually stayed green. There's one there. That's a blue, and then the other blue is underneath the irises, just right there, and it's actually taller than the others. I don't know if you can tell. And then another clump of, I'm just gonna step in here. I hate stepping in with the plants. Another clump, so I have to clean this up. See how big it got? The light is too bad now. The Verbena bonarensis, so it's gonna grow tall and just hover over inside the other limelight hydrangea, which is also fully leafed out and looks so happy. So yeah, so that's everything. And then of course there's a hellebore there. The limelight actually will shade it, because hellebores, they're like shade. So it will shade it once it's fully leafed out. And then in front of the limelight, I don't know if you can see that other bush, there is a bluebeard bush, and so it dies back, and then you think, you know, they're not coming back, but it actually come back and then also make babies sometimes. But here's the other David Austin rose. That's why this is supposed to be my rose garden. So this is Charlotte, which is an yellow, but at least it doesn't have any black spot. But I don't know, I can't grow David Austin roses in the southeast. I mean, there are a few varieties, but they just don't like our heat. So that's why I stopped calling this my rose garden. And then another Verbena bonarensis in front of it. And up close and personal is my in-laws peony. And then this is a yellow, actually ground cover size St. John's wort. And I planted it there because of its color. It's kind of, it, you know, breaks up all the green of the mint in there. And then and then also over there I planted some of the white irises as well, but they're still not quite established there, and plus it's, you know, at the base of a pine tree. And then, but look at the kaleidoscope, how pretty and bright. And it did so well in the winter. In the winter they turn this color. That's why, sort of, you know, like a kaleidoscope of color. So winter it turns a lot of this, but still some yellow. But I have that dead tree in there is the Rose of Sharon, and I was so sad. I tried to prop it up, but it broke at the base, and I thought I could save it, but there's babies in there, which I'm gonna thin out. I'm just gonna let one grow and make it into another tree. But that tree was so pretty. It was so, you know, aesthetically pleasing when you're coming into the garden. And it was just like a little framing the view of the horizon, you know, from the path. And so I was really sad that, you know, it's gonna take a couple of years before I can get another small tree that size. But So I need to fix my little path here so I don't step on the flower bed. But anyway, so yeah, basically this area is almost done. These leaves, I think I'm gonna use some of them to put underneath the new bed, to sort of, amend the soil a little bit. And I can't wait to have grasses there. I mean, short and medium-sized grasses in front of the limelight, and I don't know if you can even see, but the kaleidoscope abelia is kind of contrasting behind that pot. So yeah, it's gonna be pretty. A lot of perennials are coming up there, and so they're actually all out. So that's why I said everybody made it through the winter. But ooh, and so the winter garden, as you can see, the white, I'm sorry, it's our driveway, and there's 3 vehicles out there. So the white azalea is blooming. I don't know the variety. I actually got it from my sister-in-law's friend. She passed away tragically, very young, mid-40s, from breast cancer. And I have those to remember her by. All the azaleas in there, which the others are not blooming yet. This one is orange. I kind of killed half of the orange, so that's why it looks like that. It was huge, but I didn't rake all the leaves one year, and working, and so the reason why it's looking like that is because all those thing under the leaves stems, they're actually rooted, which I don't mind. And then the only azalea that's not from my sister-in-law's friend is the one in the middle. That is the encore azalea, and so they bloom on and off through the year. But the one beside the white, it's actually a 2-color pink. One, it's a pale pink and a fuchsia kind of color pink. So so it's really pretty and different. And so the 2 pots are doing okay. We actually had storm yesterday. A lot of, we were okay. We didn't lose any power or anything, but a lot of thousands of people lost power. But but at least it was just a regular, spring storm that toppled some trees, and you know caused the power lines to go down. But I'm also so happy to see all the hostas. So this is in the shade garden. So that hosta there, this daffodil didn't bloom. It might still bloom later on. And then the heuchera there, the hellebores, and then this guys right here. There's 3 of them. I need to fertilize them. I literally just got all the leaves out. That's why they look kind of puny, but they're just also just woke up. So that hosta there, just a Home Depot hosta. And then there's there's one right, let's see, I'm gonna step in here. There's some right here, and so there's 4 eyes. So last year it probably had 2. So they were planted late in the season. And where else? Okay, let me swing you around. And this is actually my hosta garden. So so under this oak, and so that's why I have this dark heucheras. I think they're the midnight series, so they don't get really big, but they're getting bigger than from last year, as you can tell. There's new growth, and it's gonna have a bloom in there. And there's vinca ground covers and some ajuga, and I only see this hosta, and I think that's the autumn moon, and that's like our anniversary hosta when we went to the beach in Florida. So there should be 1, 2, 3, 4 more coming out from there, but I don't see them yet, or maybe they're just under the vincas. And also in here are the Solomon seals. See how big this guy is? I mean, it's like big, huge, like an asparagus, a fat asparagus. And then you know, they're eventually gonna get big as well. They're just, you know, from my woods that I dug up, and they multiply so quickly. I mean, they're everywhere. I mean, I have lots of them right by the front steps that I have to move. But look at the ajuga, and I'm also burning some leaves, sorry. The ajuga, I should turn around and show you the other side. Oh, okay, so in the hosta garden, Empress Wu, it looks not too empressy right now, but she is out and about. And then this twist of lime heuchera, and this is actually a rose campion that's gonna flower and be tall. And then some ajuga, and then also this lungwort, and it actually bloomed late winter, like early February, and it's still blooming, and it doubled in size from last year. And so this, you know, when it gets bigger, it's easy to see that, you know, the color is like there's gonna be blue and pink and kind of like fuchsia pink. So it's very beautiful, and it's a nice companion to the hostas in there. And so I can't really see how there's a big space there, an empty space. That's why the ajuga is gonna take care of the in-betweens, because the heuchera is gonna get big. Empress Wu is gonna be 3 feet by 3 feet, so it's gonna be, you know, right around this area. So that's why I'm always mindful of my spacing when I plant. So it looks really bad in the first 2 years, but I don't really want to dig out and replant things, so I always plant them the right spacing in the beginning. So like I said, the ajuga are really pretty. They're blooming. I'm sorry, the smoke is kind of ruining the ambiance, but I don't know if you can tell, but it's just so pretty. The nondescript ajuga, when they bloom, they're actually quite a sight. The blue just contrasts with all the green, which is it's all green in this winter garden, which is hellebores, the azaleas. I have a ghost dancer. I should get you close. Acer palmatum, or Japanese maple. Up close you can see the veining, but anyway, also when they first come out, the tips is kind of, it's blushed, and then it turns lime green with some, and then eventually when it gets a little older, the leaves, the veining will show, which is a contrast, a darker green. So it's very beautiful. So I used to have a blood good Japanese maple, which it was a good size where that statue is, and then it kind of cascade and just shade all the hellebores and the azaleas, and then it died. One of the many casualties that I had in the garden because of work, and you have to work, so I couldn't water all the time, and this is really a dry shade area, so I lost that, and so I replaced it with this guy, and hopefully, and I would, my hope is it will do the same thing. As you can tell, the growth is kind of on this one side, which I wanted it that way. So I don't know how long it will get there, but patience, which is very hard sometimes. I mean, if I have lots of money, I would buy a large, already, pretty good size Japanese maple, and complete the look that I'm looking for. And then there's some Christmas ferns coming up in there, and there's also some salmon seal, and there's also should be a hosta in here too, which is a large, I don't even know what variety it was. It was like Walmart type of hosta. Sometimes they don't have any names. It should be in there. There should be 3 scattered, but I don't see them yet. So, but the daylilies are really pretty this time of year, with the Japanese maple in the middle and the white azalea in the background. And I can't wait for you to see the other azalea as well. I mean, it's going to be spectacular with the jewel color in one bush. So yeah, the hellebores have kind of thickened, or gotten, the clumps got bigger after I cleaned them out, remove all the old leaves and the tree leaves that has fallen in there. So yeah, I can't wait for all the ferns and the hostas and the salmon seal to sort of accompany the hellebore and complete the look of the winter garden. So yeah, so I don't know if you can tell, but it's very bright right now. But I have 3 dogwoods along the fence line, and it is blooming magnificently. It is beautiful. At twilight, they just glow in the low light, and they make me so happy. I cannot even tell you. So, like I said, on the other side of the winter garden is this dry shade garden, And so this is an evergreen native heuchera. I don't even know if it has a name. We just call it native heuchera. So there she is. Oh, and I have this ground orchid, and it's about to bloom. So this one guy, which is growing right around the edging, I was gonna move it, but I think I'm gonna wait until it's done blooming, and then I'll move it somewhere over there where there's open spots. But it's beautiful. They look like orchids because they're ground orchids. There's a scientific name, I just can't remember right now. I'll put it in the description so you can see the name and maybe look it up and acquire it for your garden as well. And then these little guys are what are they? They are not germander. I can't remember the name. They're my favorite, and so I had one last year, and somehow they supposed to grow. I think this is the mother plant, and look, it's trying to cover this whole area, which I'm not mad about. So I think it grows with by runners. That's why they're scattered around, which I can't wait for that to happen and cover the whole area right there. And like I said, there's another hosta there. There's a rock. And so I was so there's the hosta has 2, 4, 6 eyes that came through. I was fixing this border. It got run over by one of the delivery trucks. Which one? I don't know. They all come here. UPS, FedEx, Amazon, UPS, USPS. They're all in here. So this is actually Heucherella. So this is Alabama Sunrise, and it's so it doesn't look so sturdy, and I thought I was gonna lose it, but it's coming out, and it's so beautiful. I think the veining will get darker if I can remember it from last year, and it was so beautiful, like a sunset. So that's back, but most of all is my Hakonikloa, or Japanese forest grass. Made it the first year, and so because they're kind of expensive to me. So, and they never go on sale, so I babied it last year, made sure I gave it plenty of water. But my hope is for that to crawl over to the base of the urn, and my thrifted or estate sale urn, and cover that and kind of soften the broken base. And speaking of urns, so I planted it with a primrose from the grocery store. It's still blooming from, I don't know, 3 weeks now. When it's done, I don't think it's gonna rebloom until next year, but I'm just gonna leave it there and let the wood fern actually take over, which the wood fern had new growth. I got the fern like late winter, like around February. And then there's a dark mondo. I'm hoping that would get big and kind of contrast a grassy, different strappy leaves to the fern. And then over here it's another timeless heuchera, the green variety, which is actually trying to bloom. So yeah, I mean, I just want to keep the urn simple. It's kind of sort of Grecian. I don't know if you can tell because it's blue actually. I don't know if that was painted or I don't know. I'm sure it was painted, but so it's bluish. It's very pretty, you know, patinaed, and so I'm just gonna keep that simple, and I'm not gonna plant flowering things in there. And I have one Virginia bluebell. I can't grow Virginia bluebell, so this has been a couple of years, maybe 3 years, and it's still like that. It's supposed to creep like the other ground cover that I can't remember right now. And then there's also a Christmas fern in there, and then there's a hosta in there as well. So yeah, so hopefully this bed's gonna get fuller in time. But yeah, so this is just, you know, a slow growing flower bed because it's a dry shade because of the dry shade condition. And here there's also, ooh, look at the bloom. The poor Solomon seal got stunted because I didn't unearth it in time. I was afraid because this gardenia, which is like a ground cover gardenia or prostrate variety, is sensitive to frost, and so used to our last frost date is April 15th, but I actually just learned that it's moved down to April 7th because we are now zone 8. We used to be 7. We used to be 7A. Now we're 8A. So I didn't unearth the gardenia in fear that they would succumb to the blackberry winter. But here's the variegated Solomon seal, and it's just so pretty. I should go on the other side. The bloom, they're kind of like, they just remind me of fairies. That, you know, fairies live under there and they just hang. They're gonna get tall. The one that, you know, didn't bloom too fast, they will get taller, and so therefore you can see the flowers hanging better. But there are others like that guy, and you know, so hopefully they will, I know for a fact they will. Every year they never fail. So and then here too, they're just trying to come up, is the toad lilies, or tricertis. So it's a variegated variety, which I love. There's also just a regular tricertis, just green, and they also look like tiny orchid flowers for the bloom. And then these guys right here are called wintergreen. They actually bloom kind of peculiar looking bloom, and then it turns into like berries. And so I dug those up, well, one, and then now it became, there should be some more coming up in there from my woods. So I just like the leaves. If you see, you can tell the veining, so it looks like a variegated, like the toad lily. But so yeah. Oh, another hosta also under the camellia. So the camellia, I need to fertilize it because it's having some yellowing leaves. But this should be shaded pretty soon when the trees are leafed out above. But this is Paul's Glory. That should be a big hosta as well. I actually didn't know, or I forgot that it was, I planted it. Where did I plant it? Oh, so I planted it right there. I actually have this guy on top of this. I got it late winter from a nursery in Loganville, and so I planted it there, and then something was in there, and that was Paul's Glory, and so I just moved him over there across, and he was actually the first one to come up. Imagine that. So, talking about resilience, right? And then this is the anemone honorine Joubert. It actually got big. It was like a little clump. So as you can tell, I don't want to break this. Oh, there you go. As you can tell, see, it's right here. It's right there. So I put this hanging basket thing, or planting basket, because I think my squirrels are digging, and also my baby Stevie Nicks, my dog, she always accompanied me outside, and she loved, before I planted something there. There's Stevie Nicks. She loved to accompany me in the garden, and she loved to lay there. Used to be full of mulch before I dug Paul's Glory, and I'm like, no, you can't lay down there. So I just put those so they won't destroy the new plantings. So yeah, and then also I planted this late summer is Burning Love Leucotho, and so yeah, it has some winter damage, but you know, it's gotten big. Let me see if I didn't even take the tag off. Burning Love Leucotho. So Burning Love, I guess because the leaves in the fall turns beautiful burgundy, and it was actually one of the sale plants or bush from a nursery that I was sad about. They closed down. The people who owned it retired, the couple, and then beside it is a dark colored Litten rose, and then on the other side is limey green colored bloom Lenten rose, which look how big it got, and it doesn't even care that it gets a lot of sun than that it usually needs, but I guess it likes it there. And so yeah, so I have this, I just cut the liriope last night, so I still have to clean the remnants of those, and then some of the leaves that are in there, and then also clean up the leaves under the those green over there are New England asters, and they should bloom before spring is over, and I'm not gonna cut it back. I'm gonna let it bloom, and then I deadhead and then they bloom again in the fall as expected. So, and then another, if you can see the yellow leaf in there, is another St. John's wort, low growing variety. And also in here, I don't know if I showed you my spring pot or spring container. So I have this Veronica Georgia Blue to spill. It's actually one of the toe tickler. They sell it as a toe tickler, so you're supposed to, people plant it on their pathways. But I kind of like it, the name Georgia Blue, because we're in Georgia. So, and it's trying to kind of spill over. And then later on, I'm gonna replace, this is a ranunculus. It was a different color. Here's a remnant of the other one. So there was orange, there was dark red and yellow. And so I'm gonna replace them with something, I don't know yet. And then I just planted the sedum. There are two that I dug up that was in the crack of the path. So that's gonna spill over here too. And then another spiller of some kind in here. And then this grass should get bigger. And then this is blue atlas cedar. I wanted a Troutman juniper, but it's slowly coming down from the northeast. It's native, I think, in the Seattle area, Oregon, you know, the northwest I'm saying. But, you know, the blue atlas is sort of similar, but not really. But what can you do, right? And there's actually a nursery close by me, a tree nursery, an online nursery. They actually sell it, but they sold out immediately. So didn't have the chance. And then I have this fleur-de-lis topped, what you call this? I got it from one of the estate sale I frequent, and this was $3. I just put it there as sort of a, you know, interest while everything is trying to grow. And then of course the liriopes are coming up, and they should sort of kind of grow around the pot and give it that, you know, not too stark looking pot there. So if you can see it, so the liriopes should go about halfway through. Oh, I'm sorry, I still have my reminder that I got this for $50. This used to be $2.99, pot from Italy, and Pike Nurseries actually didn't sell it for a while, and they put it down to $50, so I got two, which I'm very happy about. But anyway, so the sun has now moved in. It's probably 1 o'clock. So that's when the sun comes in the middle here in the garden. But before I go, I will show you. So I have these two blue tall planters from an estate sale, also for $50. And I actually have 3 of them. So I planted it with this Paul's Gold. I don't know why I have a lot of Paul in my garden. I used to work with someone, Paul, and he was very kind and nice to me. But that's not the reason why. I have Paul's Gold and Paul's Glory Hosta. So anyway, so that whole area there was full of that iris. But this is actually not Is there a bee in there? Yeah. I don't want to wake it up. It fell asleep. This is actually a bicolor iris. So it was, I still have to do this, if you can see under here, a bunch of grass that I have to kill. So I might have to dig those up as well, because the grass is all tangled up in the tuber, the iris tuber, I guess. So, but anyway, wouldn't it be pretty if they were all around there, and then maybe plant in here too, or not, you know? Because I'm trying not to, they look so formal. I'm trying to make them not so formal. And so if they're the same, then it would read more formal. And also this stump right there, I'm gonna plant a morning glory, or a moonflower, which is a white morning glory with bigger flowers. So I'm gonna plant, I have the seeds, so to cover that stump this year, and that would, you know, conceal that a little bit and make it a little pretty. So anyway, since the sun is fully out, I'm gonna end the video, and as soon as I get better lighting, I'm gonna do a video on the other side in the butterfly garden. And also I have a lot of work in the backyard as well, and there's beautiful flowering bushes there, but unfortunately we can only do so much in one day. But anyway, so thanks for coming along with me today. I hope you're very tickled with all the returning friends that you have in your garden, as I do. And so I'll see you again, dear garden lovers, somewhere down the garden path. Bye.